Cool. Thanks for talking to us today.
Hi.
And yeah, just starting off really just with a producer is one of the most misunderstood kind of roles in the movie business. I mean, for whatever reason, I mean, some movies you end up seeing as like 8 producers, and you don't know which of them were proper producers and what they did. And and to cut the long question short, what's the role of a producer in a Pixar movie?
Well, first of all, I think I have the best job in the world. You partner with the director. First and foremost, my job is really to bring his vision to the screen. I have financial responsibility for the entire project. Fortunately, unlike a lot of live action producers, I don't have to go out and get funding, which can be quite complicated process because we're funded by Disney. But financial responsibility, oversee the schedule to make sure we finish the movie on time. I'm involved with the casting of the characters, approving their deals. I go to all the recording sessions with the director. Meet with departments. Like a live action movie where we have departments across the whole entire film. And I meet with the department supervisor and manager on a weekly basis, and really essentially just get everything they need to do their jobs the best way they can, and to support them and to make everyone's lives as easy as possible, really.
It's interesting because you say you need to look after sort of the financial side of the project, and I think the public perception, possibly wrongly, would be that at Pixar they have carte blanche really. They can do what they want,
Right.
There aren't any restrictions. So are there still meetings where maybe people at Disney are scratching their heads going, oh no, this seems like a risk and you've got to really sell it,
Probably not so much with Disney specifically, but we definitely are given a budget to work within, and we're constantly evaluating, where we are with our budget and how we want to use our resources, so to speak. And there's a lot of conversations that go on with my team and how we can be efficient and basically make our dollars or stretch as far as they can to put those dollars up on the screen and to get good value out of what we're doing. This movie was pretty epic for a Pixar film. We go to all of these different countries. It had very complicated design requirements, so we had to be clever, and we had to not be wasteful in order to accomplish everything we wanted to.
Because I suppose there could be the temptation with a film like this to want to have like 30 different distinct racing cars that you see all of, and then to go to like 8 countries. And was there a time where you're hearing these ideas and you're going, but tone that down?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. John and I had quite a few negotiations. I mean, originally, that's a perfect example, your description of the racers. Originally, they wanted way more racers, and it's like, we really can't do that. We were going to have a race that took place in the Black Forest of Germany, and really due to the overall length of the movie, we didn't have time for it. There was going to be a small vignette race that took place in Sweden. Again, just not time. So there's a lot of negotiations that go on. This movie also, which I think may surprise people, has a lot of visual effects, like a traditional live action movie, explosions, water effects. So there was an instance, for example, on the lighting DP, Sharon Callahan, wanted to have the surface of the road wet. Well, if you have a big chase sequence going on, that involves lots of splashes and spray. And it's like, all right, guys, this is how much budget you have. Do you want to spend your money on, or spend the weeks putting splashes under the tires? So you have to sit there and decide. And John ultimately makes his choices based on what's going to really enhance the story. And they were able to do a cheat, and I think they wisely chose not to spend their weeks on adding splashes that really didn't go much to enhance the story.
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring up that thing of an element like having the reflection on the road would cost time and money, and it's something to think about, because I think extremely wrongly and frustratingly for you guys, public perception is sometimes that you click water, suddenly there's water on the road, right?
No, absolutely. And it's all, I mean, these movies are, there isn't clicking the button.
Yeah.
They're all handmade movies, to be honest. And there are, we had over 300 people working for long periods of time on the film. So making a choice, just something as simple as that, takes time. And so thank you very much for pointing that out.
Speaking to Jim Morris yesterday,
Yes.
who's working on John Carter, and he surprised me, because although I know that CG that these movies are really intensive, he actually said that there are more shots and it takes longer to do one of these than a hand-drawn, and that blew my mind. I had absolutely no idea.
It's funny, I didn't know that. I've never done hand-drawn animation. I've only done computer graphics. So that, I didn't realize that.
How much of an issue with Cars 2 is it, quite bluntly I suppose, with the merchandising? I know there's a lot of emphasis. I mean, from Disney as well, I went to a Disney trade presentation 6 months ago in England, and they said, Cars 1 was the biggest merchandising revenue Pixar movie.
Right.
And obviously John Lasseter's incredibly enthusiastic about it. It's like his baby, and I've heard people say he's like a kid in a toy shop with it. But
Right.
still, is that part of the mechanism behind the film to some extent?
Honestly, it really isn't. We don't make the movies because of the toys. We make the movies because there's a good idea. I mean, honestly, the original idea came about when John was promoting the first film in 2006, and that was long before we knew what a kind of consumer product juggernaut this was going to be. My job, quite honestly, is to protect the show.
Yeah.
From, I take it very seriously, protect the artists and the creative process from sort of those external business entities that, believe me, are incredibly important to the Disney company. But ultimately, my job is to produce a really great movie. So I'm sort of like the person that is standing at the wall and just trying to, you guys are going to get what you need, but let us get the story right. And we don't do things gratuitously for toy products. Now, that being said, it's really fun that there are kids around the world and adults that love the toys. And I've taken to carrying the little die-cast cars in my purse to give to little kids that I meet, and you can't believe how excited they are. And I always joke that it's the best part of my job, getting to hand out toys.
Yeah, that they are actually really well made, the Cars toys as well, because they're like proper, dinky toy cars,
I love them. I'm not I always say I'm not a thin person. I'm one of those people that if I could, I would probably live in a monastery with nothing in it. And I've sadly, or for my, clutter, paranoia, I've become quite fond of those little cars.
Yeah.
Started collecting them, and it's like, oh, for God's sakes.
But so go back to sort of the money as well and the budgets.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like the bad guy? Because you've got it's a really fun workplace. Everyone's kind of rolling around, kind of being creative and laughing. And do you ever have to come in and sort of have the bad conversation, and everyone's like, oh.
Yes. Yes, I do. Honestly, I do. Sometimes I do feel like a bit of the mother bear going in and getting after her cubs. But I think that they know that I'm doing everything with the best intention. I do it to, my intention is always for the movie. So nothing is done just to be, to be harsh. But I do have to do that. That's my job. And I guess the art is how you do it.
Yeah.
And how you communicate. Saying no. No one ever wants to hear no. So I've come up with more of the negotiation technique. You can do A, B, or C, and just to let everyone know what it means. If C is the most expensive thing and you can really get by with A, then you get to bank those, A enables you to use those resources elsewhere down the pipeline, so to speak.
How long have you been at Pixar?
It'll be 6 years in October. So I came right after the first film came out, and I came here from Industrial Light and Magic, which is just across the bay doing visual effects. And I came to work on Up. I was the associate producer on that film, a film that I absolutely loved working on. And I worked with Pete Docter and Jonas Rivera and Bob Peterson, and I felt really grateful that they sort of took me on.
It's interesting because a lot of the people I spoke to, again, I talked to Jim last night, and a few people I've already talked to today, a lot of people have like an Industrial Light and Magic or a Skywalker Sound like background.
Yes.
Is there any animosity where like you've poached all the people from those guys? Is there anyone left working at ILM?
Oh, there's some tremendously talented people at ILM. I mean, interestingly, John Lasseter and Ed Catmull, the founders of our company, are also from Lucasfilm. So we like to say that we're sort of we're a cousin of Lucasfilm. Everyone that comes to Pixar are people that just want to come here. So, I, after working on the last Star Wars movie, really felt that I wanted to work on a fully animated film. I love computer graphics. I love the digital filmmaking process. I prefer it to live action, I should say. It's kind of a dream come true to come to Pixar. It's a company that I felt was doing really great filmmaking, and they made really great movies. The disadvantage of working at ILM, as much as I loved it, and I really truly did love working there, you're sort of, it's a contract-based business. You're hired by various studios, and you don't have as much control of what you actually work on. I got really lucky working on the first Harry Potter film. That was a lot of fun. But here, I just felt like I could have more of a hand in helping to craft a really great movie, and that was why I decided to come here.
When, in some ways you must be one of the first people on the project and then the last off it, because, you've got everyone else is maybe starting to move on to their next thing, but being involved obviously with the budget side, this is really where you start to maybe get nervous and see, well, how's the opening weekend, and just that really. Are you nervous? What are you feeling at the moment about that?
Yeah.
Do you like that period of time? Do you like picking up the paper and looking at deadline.com and seeing?
Well, first of all, it's kind of my first experience in this role doing that, and I am a little apprehensive and a little nervous. To be honest, not as much from the financial point of view, probably surprisingly, but more, again, I have family members that loved the first movie, and I was really anxious that I wanted to make sure that I lived up to their expectations. So a lot of it has to do with wanting the fans and the fans of the Cars world to be happy, and it'll be great if it does well financially. It's a little nerve-wracking. But all I know is, John, the team, everyone worked very hard to try to make a good movie. And I don't know what else we could have done, and hopefully everyone will love the movie as much as we do.
And are you already thinking about your next project, or are you still very much in Cars 2 mode?
I'm still very much in Cars 2 mode. I'm still have a ways to go before I'm actually finished.
When do you finish with Cars 2?
Well, I'm going to leave for Europe in mid-July. So probably when I come back by the end of July, I'll be at a point where I can take a break. I'll come back in October and start going into development. And I'm really, really excited about some of the projects that are in development that I can't specifically speak about, but there's a lot of really talented up-and-coming directors at Pixar, and they have some really, really great ideas. And so I've not been involved with actually getting the stories off the ground. When I came to both Up and Cars 2, the stories were pretty far down the pipeline, or down the path. So I look forward to kind of helping those directors. But there will be ongoing Cars 2 work that will continue on probably realistically for another year, or certainly up through the release of the DVD.
Yeah, and what sort of responsibility, I mean, what does your job become when like the Blu-ray's released? What do you end up having to do?
There's going to be more promotion of
Yeah.
that, and to be honest, there continues to be consumer product requests that we have to check and make sure. Our big desire is to have the toys be as great as possible.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of reviewing that goes on long after the movie's out. So I'll continue to do that, and but primarily my job will be now to transition to help another director.
Thank you very much for talking to us. That's really fascinating.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much.
Thank you.
It's nice to meet you.